Base Case Season 2, Episode 36, 7 Habits, Habit 7, Part 4. Like you've heard in this sequence of episodes on Covey's Habit 7, I'm covering the sharpening of the saw. That's the concept of self-renewal that's necessary for persons to be both productive and satisfied in their work and personal lives. And he broke it into dimensions. I've covered the physical, mental, and spiritual dimensions in the past episodes. And I'm closing out Habit 7 episodes with the social and emotional dimension. And this pertains to musicians everywhere. When I was rereading this, I thought this is so geared toward musicians, but to the point that you could almost miss it. You know, Covey breaks it up as interpersonal leadership, empathic communication, and creative cooperation. And those three concepts play a huge role in music making with other people. Even if you're not making music with other people, like you're a solo classical pianist, you still need this social emotional dimension and shape to communicate with the people helping you, people booking you, people playing with you, paying you. And Covey says it doesn't take a large amount of time that renewing the three other dimensions do. It's done in your daily fundamental interactions with other people. But you have to exercise it, as Covey writes. I've done a lot of that. Think about all the interactions you have as a bass player in a rehearsal. Talking and listening to the leader of the group. And if you're the leader, it's even more interaction. As a bass player, I've got to interact with the drummer. If I'm on a live gig, I've got to talk to the sound man. I've got to talk to audience members before, during, and after. I mean, etc. on interaction. Last few months, I've been working on a bass feature with a drummer and a guitarist supporting me. And sometimes something's not working. That happens. What do you do? As Covey writes, you've got to throw it out there. You've got to mention the elephant in the room. You've got to, look, this isn't working. We're both, notice that, we are both approaching this differently. And you've got to say something. Let's stop for a little bit. Let's not work. Let's not play anymore. Let's talk about this until we find a way that works for both of us. This is Covey's win-win. And most people would be pretty agreeable to this, and most people that I encounter are. Then, this is real important, you've got to let them go first. You've got to open the door for them to talk. You know, I try to make it easy too. I say, what do you think? You know, you're all the time coming up with good ideas, you know, and I mention a couple of good ideas that they came up with. I go, what do you think? And then here's the difficult part for a lot of people. You've got to listen to what they're saying, not with intent to reply, as Covey says, but listen with empathy. Forget about yourself and really listen to this player and what he or she is saying. And I do this to the point where I repeat phrases they say to me and finally can understand their point of view. Then I commence to give it my point of view. I need to be understood too. And then once that's out there, you've got to start moving to discussing alternative solutions. These alternative solutions generally work better because they deal with each other's differences to solve the problem. Bottom line, maybe I'm not as right as I think I am. I've found that out more than a few times. We have found better solutions by leaving my ego at the door and just listening. Like Covey says, it's difficult to do. It needs exercising. And it can be more difficult for musicians with all the time constraints involved in our professional lives. Rehearsal, studio time. We're getting ready for a gig. But like that guy sharpening the saw, you can't afford not to do it. And I practice this a lot. You almost sometimes have to have a second sense of the other person's possible issues. Samba groove isn't working. Your drummer might not be as comfortable with that groove as you are. And so he or she may not understand what you're saying to help. However patient you're being, what you're saying may not be helping. Maybe I'm not doing a good job of explaining it. It's hard to explain grooves. How do you explain a bossa groove? You know, I hear guys doing it. They'll say it's even eighths, man. Or it's like a rock beat, you know, or it's like a rock beat. There's no backbeat, though. Or, yeah, more bass drum than if you were playing a swing. But that doesn't really tell some drummer how to really play this if they're not real sure of what you're wanting. And this comes up in rehearsals a lot. You can save a lot of time by talking quietly and then saving it for later when that doesn't work. People, not just musicians, struggle with being called out, even quietly, especially with other people around. In rehearsal, sometimes I move to where the player is and I don't use words but play the recording of what I'm looking for. Thank goodness for phones. This happened the other day. And what happens? I get something even better than I asked for. Like I said, that happened last week. It's a nice feeling. It was the third. It was not what I was looking for. It was not what they were able to play. And then a third thing came up, which I had no idea about. That's by letting go. But I've got to stay unemotional. I can't turn a rehearsal into a tense environment because I'm frustrated or I don't feel like I'm being listened to. They're listening in a lot of cases, but you're not explaining it right, or they're not ready. All musical situations can be solved. I'm going to quote Covey here. Peace of mind comes when your life is in harmony with true principles and values and in no other way. True principle. My players want music to sound right. True principle. I want music to sound right. Win-win solutions abound, and I want all of them. One more Covey quote. Intrinsic security that comes from service, from helping people in a meaningful way, that's what you get. If you have questions, email me at phil@basecase.co. I'll talk to you soon.